got Pastor Mark here, and we're just going to talk about a few things for our group leaders. We've been pushing our small groups really hard this fall, and we know that some of you have signed up and you want to lead a group, so we just want to go over a few questions that you might have and give you some information. So first thing of all, why don't you tell us a little bit about groups and kind of the things that groups can be?
Yeah, so group launch is, September 8th?
September 8th.
So September 8th is group launch. And a lot of people are like, well, what does our group do? And we say, groups do four main things, and they usually center around one of the three. So groups always have fellowship. They should always have a time where they're praying together. There should be a Jesus moment, whether that's done through a study or just talking about what happened in church that Sunday. And then there should be support. So we're praying for each other, but we're also encouraging each other. We're supporting each other in whatever that we're going through. If somebody's had a baby in your group, you're supporting them. If somebody's going through...
Make them food.
Yeah, somebody's going through some grief or somebody's in the hospital, you're there to support them. And so in that, we know that groups are usually then centered in one of those areas. So usually there's some groups that are fellowship-based groups. So the main thing that their group does is built off of some kind of a activity together. Maybe it's a golfing group or a pickleball group. I know we're going to start just a kind of a game night group.
We have a lot of games.
We have lots of games. But in that doesn't mean that they discount or discredit moments with Jesus, moments with prayer, moments of support. Other groups are much more study-based. They're going to go into some kind of a study. Maybe they're doing a Beth Moore study, or they're going to go through the book of John, or they're spending their group, their intentional gathering point is on a study. But in that as well, they need to make sure they're having fun together. Right. They're enjoying life together. They're having time of just laughter and fellowship. And then the last kind of gathering point for groups is more of that support. There's sometimes you're going through a season or you're going through something where that group is going to be based on support. Things like a grief share. Maybe you've got people that are going through some addiction recovery, or there's just different moments and seasons in life when you've got to have just a rally of support of people that have gone through divorce. So those are the three things that usually groups are centered around. And it's all based off of Acts 2:42, where it talks about how they gathered with fellowship. They broke bread. Man, it's good small groups eat together.
Eat food.
And whatever that looks like. It might be snacks. It might be they come together for a meal. But you should incorporate some food. People like to eat.
I mean, you got to do it.
And in that, really what they was talking about is that they shared a moment talking about who Jesus is and the goodness of who he is. So even though we're going to have game night at our house, we're going to talk about what the sermon meant to us and how good Christ is. So whatever you're doing, Jesus, we say this at our church a lot, Jesus is our message. And so whatever your group is based around, whatever it's centered on, it's primarily centered on the work of Christ in our lives that we're then sharing with others through doing life together. Group. If you're leading a group launch day, so the week that you need to be ready to host is the week of September 8th. And then a little bit what's going on September 8th.
Right. So we want you guys to be ready to attract other people to your group. So we'll have the warehouse set up, and you have that opportunity to, if you're going to do a book study, you bring the book, or you have a way to show people what you're doing, or just some things that allow you to open up some conversations with people. You'll be identified like this, so we know that you're a group leader and we can find you real easy. We also have some business cards, size things where you can put your name and email, some contact information. So if somebody says, hey, what kind of a group are you leading? They can get in touch with you and just have some more ways to follow up with people. And if you want to bring, like flowers or candy to attract people to come and talk to you, you can do whatever you want. It's your group. And you want people to come and chat with you about the group that you want to lead.
Yeah, and some of you may be asked, hey, start wearing this even this week.
Right.
So you're just starting to promote your group even before group launch. And you can put one of these on and it says, ask me about my group, and just start telling them. Maybe you're like, I don't know exactly what my group's going to be, but you know that you want to host one. Just have it there so people see that you're available to have conversations and begin talking about what it looks like to do life together in community. But yeah, we'll have that small group kind of fair type of feeling on September 8th. It'll be in the warehouse. Everyone that's leading a group will get a designated spot. They can do with it what they want. But that leads to the question a lot of times people ask is like, how do I fill my group?
How do I get people to come to my group? Well, you invite them to come to your group.
Yeah. So if you're relying on the church to be the one that fills your group, you may be let down. We'll do our best to support you. The ones that have been through the whole approval process, they'll be listed online. But it's going to take you going out of your way to intentionally invite some people to make sure you're there at that group fair launch so that you've got a smiling face and you're letting people know, hey, here's what our group is going to be. But if you're depending on just us as the church to fill your group, you're probably going to be disappointed. And we always say, go to your circles of influence, your friends, your coworkers, your neighbors, family, and just try to get a few people together.
Maybe your kid plays on a team and there's other parents and you guys are around. Hey, just talk to them.
Yeah, start doing life with people, but be the one that kind of fills your group. And then don't give up just because maybe you had 10 people signed up.
And nobody came, or one person came, or two. I mean, when we first started our small group many, many years ago, our first night, nobody came.
And we had,
but the house was clean.
We had 5 or 6 people sign up.
Right.
We were ready, and nobody showed up. Nobody showed up. But as time went on, we stayed consistent. We stayed faithful. We kept reminding people and sending out texts and inviting them. And our group grew and grew, and it was really healthy. And there were some great relationships that were built over the years of putting in the intentional time. So, your job is to help be a part of facilitating, filling, stepping up. But don't get depressed if you have the first week, there's 20 people, and the next week there's 5.
It happens.
It happens. Maybe it is you. We can figure that out. But at the same time, don't get dejected just because something didn't go exactly the way you planned. That is the life of discipleship. People let you down. Sometimes things don't go exactly as it was. Sometimes you have big, huge victories. But that's all a part of the process. And we want to be there for you along the way to help you in everything that you need.
And there's also a couple things that people ask, like, what do we do with the kids? What do we do with the kids?
Well, partially they're your kids. So you do the thing you usually do with your kids. You find a way that they can be taken care of. And there's different ways that you can go about that. We know that there's been groups before that we've been a part of where it's a lot of couples together, and maybe they rotate. And this week, this couple is being the one that's helping do the child care. And the next week, it's somebody else, and they kind of rotate through. There's been times when you've got bigger siblings, and you throw them down in the basement with all the others, and you kind of just let them do what they do. Maybe you pull together your resources and throw in a few bucks, and you try to hire a babysitter. Or what we've done before is we do a group that it's family-based, and we know the kids are going to be around, and they're going to be a little bit distracting, but we do life together, and that's just part of how it goes. But we can help you with some ideas and thoughts when it comes to childcare, but we aren't going to be the ones that are going to be like, well, here's the list of approved babysitters, and that's going to be part of just the responsibility of leading a group, especially when you're leading a group of young married people or couples. It's trying to figure out what works best for this group when it comes to watching kids. And it is tricky. It is difficult. But we were created to do life with each other. And that means doing life even with families.
Right. I mean, our kids are around in most of the things that we do. And so we just include them in as we do group and life together with other people.
Yeah. And it's really hard when you got little babies, but when you have life with others, let me tell you, there'll be other people that want to hold your baby. So you just get used to handing them off.
Yeah.
That'll be a
community. It takes a village.
A healthy community. That's right.
I don't think I have any other questions. Are there any parting thoughts that you want to give us on groups as we get ready for our group launch on September 8th?
I just want to thank you guys that have taken that step and said, all right, I don't know exactly what this is going to look like, but I'll do it. Some of you have been doing this for a long time. You know what this looks like. You can agree with all the things I've been saying. You know what the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows look like. But I've been saying this to everybody, and I'll say it specifically to you. If Jesus commissioned us to go and make disciples, that means his Spirit will empower us to do that thing. So when you don't know where to go, pray. When you don't know what to do, like we talked about, fast, like turn over to God, and he will equip you with what you need. You've just got to be willing, and you've got to be obedient and surrendered to allowing him to lead. I know there's been times when things aren't going the way we want, and when you can easily try to force your own way into it. You can easily try to make it work your own way, or you can say, okay, God, you've called me to do this. I'm going to depend on you to walk me through it. So thank you guys for stepping up. Thank you guys for saying, I'll do my part. If you have any questions, feel free. You can email pastor@church419.com.
Or groups@church419.com.
Yeah, either one will come. I'll eventually see that, and we'll be able to point you in the right direction, to lead you where you want to go. I know there was one other thing really quick, though. People ask, where does our group meet?
Yes.
That is another one that's kind of up to you. Everyone kind of usually wants to meet at the church building. Our church building is used for a lot of different things, and it's not super huge. So we're not anti somebody using the church building. It's going to take a lot more coordinated effort and reasoning. There are some groups that really should meet at the church building. A lot of those support type groups, it's hard to have we're going to have a Celebrate Recovery group in our home. It's not that it can't be done. It's just not recommended. It's better when you have a safe spot. But a lot of you, it's opening up your home and you're like, man, my home's a mess. Clean your house. Some people are like, my home's not big enough. Find a friend that's got a bigger home. Like I know before we've done it where we were the ones that led the group, but we had another family that they actually hosted it at their house.
She cleaned the bathroom.
She's the one that cleaned up. So just be creative, find a coffee shop, maybe a park, but it's going to be better when it's somewhere that you've chosen.
Yes.
And yes, it's not that we're anti-using the church. There's a great resource, and this is a blessing that God has given us, the church building. But try to make it a personal space that you can host a group. And I know there's some that meet in like even their conference rooms at work. There's all kinds of spaces and places. That's another one that if you've got questions, we can help guide you through that, talk about some solutions. But having a place to meet obviously is important. But again, you can do this.
You can do it.
You can. There's no super Christians. We just said that. It's just us
figuring it out. Trying something else.
Doing life together.
Making it work.
Yeah. But if we've talked to you and we've kind of stamped the approval and we said, all right, let's go group launch, wear one of these this Sunday so that people see there's people out here that are leading these groups. For some of you, we're going to be following up this Sunday. We may say, hey, come chat with me really quick. We need to make sure we put names to faces. We're still getting to know everybody.
That's
and
right.
So, if Fred has signed up to lead a group, and I don't know Fred yet, I'm going to make sure I get to know you real quick before we kind of put you out there to lead. We're going to get to know you, ask you some questions, because we don't want to send people to Fred's house if Fred is crazy. We love you. We want you here at church. We just don't know if we need to have you lead in a group yet. But for most of you, that's not going to be the case. We know that God has called us to do this, and we want to do our best to empower you to walk in that direction. So we love you guys. We say it all the time. We don't just do church here. You guys are the ones that do the church out there. And so you can do it. Thank y'all.